Oh, Sophie Cunningham. It happened again. The WNBA have fined her again. And if you guys think it's great, they fined her again. Sophie Cunningham has now been fined 4 times this season. She's had 4 separate fines this season. And she got fined for comments on a podcast episode about referees. And it wasn't even like it was that bad.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league.
Sophie Cunningham has been Caitlin Clark's biggest cheerleader and defender over these past few weeks.
The WNBA tried to silence one of its biggest personalities, but the plan backfired completely. In a move that's part comedy, part PR disaster, the league hit player Sophie Cunningham with a fine for a viral social media post. When she kept talking, they hit her again with an even bigger penalty. But instead of backing down, she did something no one saw coming. She turned their attempt to silence her into a multi-million-dollar brand. This isn't just about a couple of fines. It's about a league that's losing control of its own narrative and a player who's building an empire on her own terms.
Did you know Sophie Cunningham was fined $500 by the WNBA for posting a TikTok video? She was mocking the league referees, and they weren't happy.
It all started with a simple TikTok. Sophie Cunningham posted a funny clip lip-syncing to a song with the caption, "At some refs." It was a classic, lighthearted jab that the internet loved. But the WNBA didn't find it so funny. In a move that shocked fans, the league fined her $500 for public criticism of officiating. A $500 fine for a 15-second TikTok. It was a head-scratching decision. Most people would have just paid the fine and moved on, but Sophie wasn't about to let it go. She reposted memes about the fine and started laughing it off. But the real fire was about to start.
Well, the WNBA fined me for...
No! You got fined for episode 1?
Dude, they fined me $1,500. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is just the beginning. I was like, you're kidding.
Just a few days later, on the first episode of her new podcast, Cunningham brought up the fine and jokingly talked about the situation. She even gave the refs some credit, saying they had a hard job. You'd think the league would see this as a peace offering. Instead, they hit her again. This time, the fine wasn't for criticizing the refs. It was for talking about getting fined the first time. The penalty? $1,500, triple the original amount. The league's message was clear. They wanted her to shut up, and they would keep penalizing her until she did. But that only made her more determined. As soon as news of the second fine broke, the internet absolutely exploded. Fans were already laughing at the first fine, but now they were just outraged. Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit were flooded with posts. People offered to start a GoFundMe to pay her fines. One fan wrote, "Fining Sophie just makes her more iconic. The league is paying her to become a legend." It was a tidal wave of support, proving that fans weren't on the league's side. They were on Sophie's. But what the WNBA didn't realize was that every fine was a gift, and Sophie was about to unwrap it in a major way. This is where the story gets even more incredible. Sophie didn't just get fined, she got famous. The controversy was a massive shot of adrenaline for her new podcast. Clips from the episode went viral, and her listenership skyrocketed overnight. She didn't have to spend a dime on marketing. The WNBA did it for her. Every penalty became a headline, every headline became a podcast story, and every story brought in more listeners and more brand power. It's marketing genius, where outrage became reach, and reach became revenue. While the league tried to put her in her place, it inadvertently launched her career into the stratosphere. She turned $2,000 in fines into millions of views, a trade any marketer would take. This whole situation isn't just about Sophie, it reveals a dangerous double standard within the league. The WNBA loves to talk about player expression and letting personalities shine, but when a player actually speaks her mind, the hammer comes down hard. Compare that to the league's response to on-court issues. A player gets hit with a cheap shot or a dangerous play, and the league's response is often silence. But a player cracks a joke about officiating on TikTok, and she's hit with thousands of dollars in fines. One fan summed it up perfectly. They silence players but let cheap shots go unpunished. Make it make sense. The WNBA had a golden opportunity, and they completely fumbled it. Sophie's TikTok was a viral moment waiting to happen. The league could have embraced the humor, reposted the clip, and shown that they don't take themselves too seriously. Other leagues would have. The NBA would have clipped it, and the UFC would have used it in a promo because they know controversy brings clicks. But instead of rolling with it, the WNBA rolled out a penalty. They played defense on their own player for making the league interesting for 5 minutes, and in doing so, they exposed themselves. Sophie didn't make them look bad, they did that all on their own. So what's next for Sophie? Whether she planned it or not, she has become an icon. Her clips are getting reposted, and people who have never watched a WNBA game are quoting her. She no longer needs to score 30 points to be relevant, she just needs a microphone. She's built a brand that doesn't rely on the league's approval, and that's a powerful position to be in. A $500 fine turned her into a headline, and a $1,500 fine turned her into a brand. The league couldn't silence her, they just launched her. In a world of media-trained silence, a voice that is loud, real, and not backing down might just be the most dangerous thing of all. What do you think this says about the WNBA's future? Let's rewind a bit and get into the specifics of these fines, because they reveal just how ridiculous this entire situation was. For the first fine, it was all about a TikTok clip. She wasn't yelling at anyone, not in a press conference, just lip-syncing to a popular song. But the key lyrics she chose, "Stupid or is it slow? Maybe it's useless," along with the caption tagging some refs, was enough for the league to send a $500 bill. It's almost comical. Then came the second fine, which was even more absurd. On her podcast's debut episode, she discussed the first fine. She even made an effort to be diplomatic, saying that refs have a hard job. But she also said, when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? The league took that and hit her with a $1,500 fine. They weren't just punishing the initial action, they were punishing the discussion of the punishment. It shows an almost desperate need to control the conversation and prevent any critical dialogue from escaping their tight-knit circle. And let's be clear, Cunningham is not some rogue player flying solo on this. She's just the loudest voice. Other players like Angel Reese, and even coaches like Cheryl Reeve, have been very vocal about their frustrations with officiating. The WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, has even publicly acknowledged these concerns. So the conversation is already out there, but the league is choosing to make an example of Cunningham for expressing what many others are also thinking. It's a classic case of the system silencing the messenger, hoping the message will disappear. This situation also highlights a deeply disturbing double standard that the league has to address. For months now, WNBA games have been disrupted by individuals throwing a very specific, inappropriate object onto the court. In one instance, a player even got hit. But the league's response has been slow and inconsistent. No one is getting fined thousands of dollars for that kind of behavior, which directly impacts player safety and the league's professional image. But a player's social media post? That's an immediate problem. It feels like the league is more concerned with protecting the optics of its officiating than with protecting its own players. Fans see this, and they're tired of it. They see a league that punishes personality and honesty while ignoring bigger, more dangerous problems. But for Sophie Cunningham, all of this has been a massive business opportunity. Her enforcer image, a reputation she earned by standing up for her teammates, is now her most valuable asset. The fines turned her into a symbol of authenticity and a fan favorite. And brands noticed. She didn't just get a podcast deal with a major media company, The Volume. She's also landed endorsements with companies like Arby's and Ring. Her social media following has exploded, with millions of new fans on TikTok and Instagram. She's proving that in the modern media landscape, being real and being controversial can be more profitable than being polished and playing it safe. She's not just a basketball player anymore. She's a media personality, an influencer, and a brand builder all rolled into one. And the best part is, she's doing it completely on her own terms. The WNBA is at a crossroads. It's experiencing a massive surge in popularity, but with that popularity comes a demand for transparency and authenticity that that it seems unprepared to handle. Sophie Cunningham's story is a wake-up call. The league can either adapt to this new reality, embrace the personalities of its players, and engage with the culture they are building, or it can continue to double down on an outdated, restrictive model. If they choose the latter, they risk losing the very thing that's making them so popular in the first place: the fans who are connecting with players like Sophie Cunningham. She's forcing everyone to take a hard look at what the WNBA truly stands for. And whether they like it or not, she's already winning. This whole episode is a perfect illustration of a new era in sports media, one where players are taking back control of their own narratives. For decades, athletes were forced to rely on traditional journalists and league-approved channels to tell their stories. Everything was sanitized, media-trained, and carefully managed. But with the rise of social media and player-owned platforms, that power dynamic has completely shifted. Sophie Cunningham is living proof. She didn't need a major network to give her a show. She got a podcast deal with The Volume because of her existing following and her ability to generate headlines. Her authenticity is her currency. She's part of a growing movement of athletes, like Draymond Green and Pat McAfee, who are proving that the most compelling content comes directly from the source. The WNBA's PR team can't censor a podcast clip that's already been shared 1 million times on TikTok. Their attempt to control the message only amplified it, creating a Streisand effect that made the story even bigger than it would have been otherwise. And that brings us to the WNBA's fundamental PR blunders. First, they misjudged the power of her voice. They saw a player, but the fans saw a relatable person saying what everyone else was thinking. Second, by fining her for talking about the first fine, they made themselves look petty and out of touch. Instead of a single controversy, they created a 2-part saga that kept her name in the headlines for weeks. Every time a new article came out, it wasn't about a great game or a league milestone. It was about the WNBA trying to silence one of its players. Their traditional heavy-handed approach to media management is failing spectacularly in a world that values raw, unedited content. The league has been slow to adapt, and it's costing them goodwill with a new generation of fans who are drawn to authenticity over a polished image. It's also worth noting how Cunningham's on-court persona feeds into this. She's known as an enforcer, a player who's not afraid to get physical and stand up for her teammates, especially for players like Caitlin Clark. This reputation for toughness and loyalty makes her off-court comments feel even more genuine. When she talks about a difficult job, fans see her as someone who knows the grind, not just as a talking head. When she defends a teammate or criticizes what she sees as an injustice, it's not a performance. It's a natural extension of who she is as a player. This consistency between her on-court and off-court brand is what makes her so compelling and why fans are so fiercely loyal to her. In the end, Sophie Cunningham's fines have become a story far bigger than a few $1,000s. They've sparked a crucial conversation about the power dynamic between leagues and their players, about the role of social media in modern sports, and about the value of authenticity. As the WNBA continues to grow, it will have to decide what kind of league it wants to be. Will it be a league that embraces its players' voices and the raw, unfiltered conversations that fuel fan engagement? Or will it remain a league that tries to control every single aspect of its narrative? Cunningham has shown that in this new world, the players hold the power, and they are not afraid to use it. The only question is, what will the league do now?